Here is perfect. One there. Good.
Prime Minister, the Honorable Mia Amor Motley, Minister of Health and Wellness, Lieutenant Colonel the Honorable Jeffrey Bostic, Her Excellency Ms. Linda Tagliatella, Ambassador of the United States of America to Barbados, His Excellency Mr. Terukiko Shinada, Ambassador of Japan to Barbados, Her Excellency Ms. Malgorzata Vasilevska, Ambassador of the European Union, His Excellency Mr. Scott Furzadon Wood, British High Commissioner to Barbados, Mr. Yatadis Jebre, PAHO WHO Representative to Barbados and the Eastern Caribbean, Mr. Alois Kumaraji, the Representative UNICEF Office and Acting Resident Coordinator United Nations Office in Barbados, Ms. Anne Clemenson, Chargé d'Affaires High Commission of Canada. Specially invited guests, members of the media, ladies and gentlemen, good afternoon and welcome as we mark the final batch of AstraZeneca vaccines provided through the COVAX facility. At this time, I will invite Dr. Jebre to give welcome remarks.
Take my mask off. Thank you, Madam Moderator, Permanent Secretary, Minister of Foreign Affairs and Foreign Trade, the Honorable Mia Amor Motley, Prime Minister of Barbados, Lieutenant Colonel the Honorable Jeffrey Bostic, Minister of Health and Wellness, Dr. Kenneth George, Chief Medical Officer, Ms. Cheryl Allen, Permanent Secretary, Ministry of Health and Wellness, Her Excellency Ms. Malgorzata Vasilevska, Ambassador of the European Union to Barbados, Delegation of the European Union to Barbados, Eastern Caribbean State, the OECS, CARIFORUM, Her Excellency Ms. Linda Tagliatella, Ambassador, Embassy of United States of America, His Excellency Mr. Scott Furzadon Wood, British High Commissioner to Barbados and the Eastern Caribbean, Ms. Anne Clements, Canadian High Commissioner, Charge d'Affaires, His Excellency Mr. Teruhiko Shinada, Ambassador, Embassy of Japan, Dr. Alois Komareji, Representative UNICEF, Office of the Eastern Caribbean, media personnel, ladies and gentlemen, good afternoon. Madam Prime Minister, let me extend to you and all invited guests a special warm welcome on behalf of PAHO Director and WHO Director General, Dr. Tedros Adhanom Ghebreyesus and Dr. Carissa Etienne, to this third installment of vaccine delivery special event. Today, PAHO, as the region's vaccine procurement agent for COVAX facility, delivers 33,600 doses of AstraZeneca. The delivery scheduled initially for the third installment on the second round allocation by the COVAX facility, originally targeted for June or July 2021. With this delivery, the organization would have procured a total of 100,800 doses since April 2021 for the Ministry of Health and Wellness, Barbados. Your Excellencies, access to COVID-19 vaccine is not a privilege for a few, but a right that we all share regardless of who we are, where we come from. PAHO is supporting countries in distributing and expanding access to COVID-19 vaccine for their population, building a legacy of strong immunization programs and 42 years of experience, its revolving fund to ensure the availability of high-quality vaccines for every corner of our region with equity and solidarity. Approximately 351 million people have completed their vaccination schedule in the Americas. 44% of these are in Latin America and the Caribbean. Only 24.2% of the population in the Caribbean and Latin America have completed their vaccination schedule. There is a good news in progress in Barbados. 1 in 3 persons are now fully vaccinated. The vaccination coverage has increased by twofold from May 17 to August 16, 2021 in Barbados. If vaccines are widely available and accepted by the most skeptic and hesitant vulnerable population, Barbados should achieve the target of 40% by the end of September and maintain 60% immune population before its historic political achievement in 2022. I congratulate you, Madam Prime Minister, for your continued leadership, listening and consulting with the people of the public on the public health and social measures, including increasing access to vaccination to children 12 to 17 years. We are very pleased to inform that PAHO is offering its member states a new opportunity to access COVID-19 vaccine through its revolving fund, working with governments, producers, and partners to ensure more doses are distributed equitably based on the latest epidemiological and vaccine coverage, with complementing what countries have already purchased through bilateral deals and the COVAX facility. PAHO's revolving fund is facilitating access to other supplies for the deployment of COVID-19 vaccines, such as syringes and cold chain equipment, so that countries continue to scale up their vaccination plans. Madam Prime Minister, I wish also to acknowledge and thank many partner governments represented here today: United States of America, United Kingdom, Canada, and Japan, and their continued support to COVAX facility and the global effort, as well as direct dose sharing and support to all PAHO member states. The European Union has made a financial contribution of euro 3,006,000 to support PAHO member states in the Caribbean that have signaled bilateral commitment, agreement, or other kind of participation agreement with Gavi participation in the COVAX facility. PAHO, as an implementing partner, facilitated this upfront or down payment to secure access to vaccines in the Caribbean. PAHO is working to make sure access to COVID vaccines is guaranteed for every eligible person, regardless of their ethnicity, economic condition, gender, migratory status, or whether they reside in a city or rural area, starting with the most vulnerable. It will be several months before we can rely on vaccine to control this virus, and our priority should be to save many lives as possible by prioritizing those who are at the highest risk of infection. However, it is therefore a lot of transmission and if not enough vaccination. The virus will really thrive. With this, again, Madam Prime Minister, I thank you very much for continued collaboration with PAHO and then the WHO and other partners to make sure the people of Barbados are vaccinated, and then the economy will thrive. We continue to work together. I thank you very much.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much, Dr. Gabriel. I'll now invite Minister Bostic to give some brief remarks.
Honorable Prime Minister, Your Excellencies, Chargé d'Affaires, representatives of international organizations, Dr. Gabriel and the staff of PAHO, permanent secretaries, ladies and gentlemen, members of the media, good afternoon. Today is indeed a very happy and even historic day for our country. It's the first time that we can say that we have the capacity now to offer 3 choices of vaccines to our countrymen and women. It started with AstraZeneca, then we had Sinopharm, and we've recently been able to acquire the Pfizer vaccines. Our struggles in acquiring vaccines has been as enduring as our struggles in fighting the COVID pandemic. Like COVID fatigue, we've also experienced vaccine fatigue. Trying, getting promises of dates of arrivals that some of them have not yet happened. We've also been on vaccine lockdown, just like COVID lockdowns, because there were some occasions when we thought we probably would not reach the point where we are at today. But I want to say that it is really a pleasure to have had the support and the cooperation of the international community through Gavi and COVAX that really has facilitated the vaccine and the final batch of vaccines that we are here to receive today. This is, of course, very important for us, especially at this time as we strive to contain the spread of the virus in the country, and especially recognizing what is happening globally and regionally with the Delta variant. I want to say, on behalf of the Ministry of Health and Wellness, a sincere thanks to PAHO for your support and for the way that you've operated in terms of getting us to this point to receive the final batch. And I say to PAHO because I'm sure that the Prime Minister will extend her sincerest thanks to the international community. But all of this really demonstrates what it is when countries come together, when organizations come together, when communities come together in the common interest of mankind. And so I would like to say thanks to all, and I hope that Barbadians will continue to come forward in the large numbers that they're coming forward right now to receive these vaccines, which we've been able to obtain, and it has not been easy for us to do so. So once again, thanks, and I look forward to Barbadians coming forward in numbers.
Thank you very much, Minister Bostic, and we will now be addressed by the Prime Minister.
Can't be too careful nowadays. Thank you very much, everyone. Friends all, because you're all friends. And we come here today in the spirit of partnership, because it is through the partnership of Gavi and COVAX and our individual countries across the world that we've begun to make a dent in this battle against COVID. We know that the vaccines are one of the most critical components in battle. And we don't go to battle, as my Minister of Health would tell us, armless and without any capacity to fight. We go to battle having prepared ourselves to fight. And those constituent elements of the armory are very clear. Vaccines being the most important, but nevertheless, as you are seeing around me, masking, physical distancing where possible, and sanitizing. And those are the four things that we want to apply our hearts to. Just as we have seen partnership mushroom to success between our international partners and Barbados, I hope that partnership between the government and the citizens and the residents will also mushroom into success. Because you will note that on every occasion that we speak, we don't only tell you about the vaccines, but we tell you about the other three things that are fully dependent equally on your cooperation, your commitment, your participation. And to that extent, therefore, I want to urge all of us within the sound of my voice to recognize that we will be as strong in defeating this battle as we are in being able to encourage the large numbers of you to join the efforts and to do not once, not twice, not 3 or even 4 or 10 times, but each and every day, and each and every hour, and each and every minute to keep your guard up. And Jeffrey mentioned the word fatigue, because as human beings, we can get tired of things. But those who tired of keeping their guard up in World War II regrettably became statistics, who we pay honor to at every Remembrance Day. Those who tired of keeping their guard up in the Spanish flu regrettably became statistics. I can only urge the people of this nation, as I urge the people of this region and the people of the world, that partnership in terms of us, each and every one, accepting what truly is our role in being able to fight this awful pandemic. And I say so conscious that COVAX and Gavi have been able, yes, to satisfy the beginnings of our needs, and I want to thank each of your member states of the COVAX and Gavi cooperation who worked with us. We couldn't do it alone. But I also want us to reflect that, like with everything else in life, however well we do it, there's an opportunity to pause and see how we can do it better. And why do I say so? We face now the prospect of a variant. From the very beginning, as we stood here in this location, we spoke about the race against the variants. It is no longer a prospect, it is a reality. And the only way we are going to ensure that we don't have to fight variants more virulent and more contagious and more deadly than Delta and others is if we are able to have the equitable access to vaccines as a matter of urgency from Africa to Latin America to Asia to the Caribbean to every part of this globe. As the WHO and PAHO have continuously reminded us, no one is safe until everyone is safe. And if we doubted that thesis a year ago, we now see living proof of why that thesis is the sine qua non, the foundation upon which global action ought to continue. We are on the verge of the United Nations General Assembly, and I ask myself, what is it that is fundamentally required of the global community at this stage? The global community 76 years ago rose to the task of rebuilding a global community after one of the most horrific global wars in the history of mankind. It understood that its responsibility was not only towards the reconstruction of physical buildings and families, but it also required a reconstruction of the economic and financial architecture of the day. I ask myself today, how is the world responding to this pandemic? And what are the institutional measures that are critical to continue the battle? Because it is absolutely clear that by dropping the ball when we first started, by not ensuring the equitable access through the establishment of factories and regular and equitable distribution in parts of the world, that we laid open our flanks to the possibility of the virus having a variant, and variants it has had. How do we now ensure that this does not happen? I've asked my Minister of Agriculture to address the country on another matter that is confronting us. And for Bajans, this is a real issue, because no one can even contemplate the possibility of sauce on a Saturday without pork. And I say so with all apologies to those who religiously do not partake. But having said that, the African swine flu is now in our region. On the 29th of July of this year, the Dominican Republic recorded its presence there. We all know what the swine flu has done and how it has decimated animals and livestock, pigs from a bigger country as China to some European countries to other countries across the world. It is going to mean that we have to take proactive measures. And this may mean nothing to you, but it does to me, because we were at a similar moment in January of 2020. And when others were not prepared to listen and to watch and to plan, we took a decision, and I thank my Minister of Health and all of the public officials of Barbados for putting us in a position to be able to do early planning. We thank God for Harrison's Point today. We thank God for some of the decisions that we've been able to make that have been able to contain the spread. We know that COVID is here. We know, as I said, that we've seen Delta in this community. We know that it is going to require the efforts of each and every Barbadian in partnership, just as it requires our continued partnership with the international community, and let me say specifically from the European Union to the United Kingdom to Canada to Japan to the United States of America and to the United Nations institutions. The people of Barbados say thank you. And above all else, I say, in addition to that, Pan American Health Organization has almost become a constituent member of our country, with the manner in which they have been consulting on a day-to-day basis with the Ministry of Health. We could not do it on our own. And if I am big enough to acknowledge that, I say to Barbadians, with the domestic effort, we cannot do it as government on our own. And I ask you please to reach out as we continue to raise our voices in advocacy for what the international community must do in order to protect global civilization as we know it. Because these outbreaks are coming too regular. I say so, having started from this morning at 8 o'clock for 3 hours chairing the One Health Global Initiative with Dr. Tedros from the World Health Organization, with the head of the Food and Agricultural Organization, Dr. Dongyu, with the head of OIE, which deals with livestock, Dr. Monique Elwa, and of course with our friend who is the head of the United Nations Environmental Program, Inga Anderson. We met this morning. We didn't meet to discuss COVID, but we met to discuss the other pandemic that has taken the lives of almost 1 million people a year. COVID has been responsible for too many lives lost. But the potential of the pandemic that will spawn itself because of what we use in terms of antibiotics in our bodies, what we use in terms of antibiotics in our food, what we use in terms of antibiotics against our livestock, and those things that fall into the environment and the water table as a result of what we've been using, has built up a resistance in our bodies against superviruses. I say here to you that these things matter. And that is why I'm not prepared to dismiss people out of hand when they want discussions. Because we can't ask people to be blind followers and then ask people to open their minds and start to apply the changes in their behavior that will protect them in the long term. And this is what this is about. No one said it's going to be easy, and believe you me, my friends, it is not easy. But what it is necessary. And necessary is the way, because it is necessary, we must fight, but united is how we will win it. And we ask, therefore, use this example of COVAX, Gavi, and individual countries across the world as an example of how we achieve success when we work together. I pray that as the world nations meet next month in the United Nations, that we will find it in us to recognize that unless we can secure the weakest nation state and the farthest populations of the earth, we are going to be here, regrettably, a few more times for a few more years. I pray that this is not going to be the outcome for global civilization. I look forward, therefore, to constructive engagement with the individual governments who are here, but also with other nations of the world. And I look forward to the kind of sensible decision-making that allows us to protect those who are yet unborn. It makes no sense us going to Glasgow in November if we are going to lose the battle of life in the COVID pandemic. The two matter. And as we do that, we recognize that there are some among us who may need extra treatment. Any animal who has a litter of children recognizes that there's always a possibility of a runt or a small one who can at least take care of themselves, and they try to protect them. Similarly, there will always be countries, whether war-torn or whether decimated by the impoverishment and the absence of development, that will always need our support. And subject to that, I pray for that equitable approach to the delivery of vaccines to humankind so that we can move beyond this moment and fight the other battles and the other pandemics, whether among livestock or humans, that lie in front of us. Thank you once again, and to Barbados, you have choice. You can't say you ain't got choice. So I hope that we will take time, learn about it. Yesterday we had just under 2,300 persons going for vaccinations, which is an indication that Barbadians are walking with their feet. I promised last week, in the absence of mandating, that I would take the time to start talking with as many groups as possible. I started that yesterday. I leave here today to go to that. No media, there is no media. But this is a talk. This is a talk. Just like you pull people, the family, inside the house and shut the thing and say, the family talking, we'll be talking. So this is not a media moment. This is a moment about life, learning, and hopefully progress. Thank you very much, and God bless us all. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Prime Minister. At this time, we will open for questions, if there are any.
Sorry? Yes. As usual. I remember every tranche we've gotten was 33,700, and it includes first and second. The way how we have applied it is that we make sure we reserve the second dose so that people are not left stranded. And I think everyone can attest to that fact after almost this is 7 months of vaccinations.
Any more questions? Well, if all members of the media are satisfied, let me just thank Prime Minister, the Honorable Mia Amor-Motley, the Minister of Health and Wellness, Lieutenant Colonel, the Honorable Jeffrey Bostic, Dr. Yatadis Gabriel, the PAHO WHO representative to Barbados, Your Excellencies, specially invited guests, members of the media, and you for joining. Good afternoon.